Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Friday, June the 29th, 2018. Back again. Oh, and Keegan's going to make a star appearance.
Oh, Keegan! Hi!
This is the star dog, Keegan.
Yeah, so
oh
good.
my goodness, he's actually going to really say hello.
Hi! Hi!
He said, I hear you're going to talk about choosing. I know what I'm choosing.
Oh, he is precious too.
Oh, dude,
So BZ partner there, Keegan, and BZ Weaver and Lisa Flamino Rush. And BZ, I'm going to ask you. You said you want to play with this, and I said yes. So let's just jump right in.
Well, we were talking a little bit after the conversation we just did, and I said that this is kind of akin to what you had started that conversation with Sheila about, well, how come I don't get that? Or, that kind of very linear kind of pouty, I don't get to fly backwards with, stripes hanging off me. What's up with that? And I mentioned that I've had conversations with a number of people over the last bunch of days where they're like, well, I don't get this new earth. What do you mean it's right here? I don't see why I'm not experiencing it. So first, to reiterate that it's not on 5th and Main and we got to go take a taxi to it. It comes from within us first, because it's an energy, frequency, vibration earth that's there. So if you can hold that for a minute and then realize that you have to choose it. You, each individual you, each one of us have to choose it. And one of the reasons, because is not quite the right word on that, but sort of, we're so ingrained and in the habit of being in the linear construct, and I'm not talking about the linear energies, because they've dissipated, but those grooves. See previous video that we were in about. Well, that's the way we have to do it, like take out the trash, or pay the man, right? And all these kinds of things. UCC filings and all of that involved with the one people said, well, if that happened, then why is X, Y, and Z still going up? Because there are a lot of people who are still, funding it. They're still paying attention. They're funding it with your own energy is where the funding is coming from. So because that kind of is a well-worn groove,
yes,
that catches a lot of attention right now. And I'm just talking about each individual being. So forget everybody else out there, just with each individual being. And unless you're choosing, because you're committed to your expansion, and also because you're wanting to focus on that and all the cool stuff that you're playing with, the old crumbling down catches your attention. I mean, it's pretty distracting. It's pretty disconcerting. It's pretty, come up with a lot of other descriptors for it. And so it will keep catching your attention.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was a thought to play with, that we need to actually choose to have the new earth and all that comes with it, because we've created it, be the predominant thing. We can still watch. It's almost like we turn on the channel and over here a little entertainment or a little well, actually it's a really helpful learning channel that we might call it, because as we go through those different things, it's a great way to integrate stuff more, which is a way to release a lot of stuff more, which is a way to expand more. So we actually get more colors. If we're using the TV analogy, we get more colors over here in the new earth. We get, enhanced sensory, and smelling capabilities and all that kind of stuff. Because as we clear up one over here, this gets bigger. This gets more detailed, more refined. It's not so ghosted,
Right. Well, I don't know if this is helpful or not, but in speaking of well-worn grooves and habits, out and out, just programmed habits, habitual things. One of the things that because I want to try to look at everything that is a pre-programmed or such an ingrained habit, I thought, okay, well, I'll start with something easy. Right? Famous last words. And I decided that, first of all, it's an ingrained habit that when someone sneezes to automatically say, bless you. Or at least it has always been with me. And I decided, well, first of all, I'm going to stop doing that because it is an ingrained habit. That's all it is. It's a program. And it was a little bit harder than I thought because it's a habit. It's just, it's mindless. And that is the biggest reason I wanted to stop it. It is mindless. And I had a conversation with someone about it. Well, wait a minute, there's nothing wrong with saying bless you to someone because they see. Well, yes, that is a valid perspective. It is. It's a very valid perspective to hold. However, it is the mindless, automatic bless you that because I'm telling you, I've caught myself every single time, and I know that it's mindless because I was trying not to do it. And so that's just one example and seems very small. But when you're speaking about grooves, things that have always been done, that's what that is.
Absolutely.
And so, I'm sure there's lots more. I'm even trying to do things that I normally do, like, I don't know, think of anything. How do you put your pants on? People put their pants on left leg first. Always starts with the left leg first. Don't even know why, just do it. I've been trying to change these things up for myself just because they're ingrained habits to see where that would lead. So I don't know if that actually pertains to this conversation, but I decided I would offer that.
Okay, well, it does. And I'm sorry, I turned to the right because I wanted to type something, but I was curious as to why that programming started.
I know why. It has to do with religion, I believe. But also, it's Gregory the Great suggested saying God bless you, and bless you is, it's been shortened. After a person sneezed, one of the symptoms of the plague was coughing and sneezing, and it is believed that Pope Gregory the Great, suggested saying God bless you after a person sneezed in hopes that this prayer would protect them from an otherwise certain death. The expression may have also originated from superstition. So I think it's very interesting. I won't do it now, but you could go and look at Pope Gregory and you could see all sorts of interesting things that Pope Gregory there was involved with. And the plague was a manufactured thing like AIDS and, so on and so forth. So I think it's really kind of interesting. Again, it's because it was when you have that's another way to train the rats, pun intended.
to have that. So you're absolutely right. And when someone says, well, what's that bad? Well, you could say happy rainbows to you when someone sneezes. Because, if you like rainbows and being happy, then that means, because now you're actually taking ownership of that, and you're giving a genuine, not scripted, not autopilot, not pre-programmed something,
Right.
which helps you get in the flow of noticing the grooves and shifting them. And at the same time, you can, if you choose to, you can give a nice bit of energy to someone else who's doing that.
Well, I like that idea.
Yeah, I do too.
And I'll try that on for size. Because, it is the looks you get when you don't do it. Again, it's all programmed. It's
right.
all programmed. It's all, and for why? For what?
Yeah, and that's a good thing to look at. We do a lot of things around here that we don't know why we're doing them, and that's a good thing to look at and question too.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That takes the focus, and especially right now where things are imploding, and I mean, you can kind of look in any direction in a vague oblique way and go, whoa, look at that big cloud of dust that came up from that.
Right?
Watch out, there's a lot of rubble coming off of that one, because that's what's happening. And the same thing we were talking about earlier, the I was going to say a lot of the clouds of vitriol that are coming up, but it's not, I mean, that's one thing, but which goes along with the bless you thing, it's the total non-thinking within that. There is no free thought. There is no conscious awareness. There is no critical thinking. There is no anything. It's just a parroted line, and so well worn and so well ingrained and grooved in. The groove is so deep that people don't even realize, what it is. So, and since the new earth is new and we're all creating it and we don't have those things, it's a little harder to go over there unless you have been consciously playing with clearing and cleaning and expressing and expelling and integrating and all that, and finding some really cool things that you go, wow. And even just the tiniest little snippet of it is so delicious. It's so enticing. It's so love-filled. Even if you've never had much real experience with the real frequency of love, that it's really hard to go back, over all the distractions. Now you can pay attention to the distractions. You can notice the distractions because it may help you to integrate things. It may help you to know, okay, well, I'm just about to get on the dance floor with my mission that I'm supposed to. So there's lots of different ways, but you're not pulled in. You're not sucked in. You're not focused in to the point that you're fully, in the distraction again. So anyways, that's what I thought would be helpful to play with and actually really fun, especially if you do it, because we're right here.
Yes.
I am right here. I know it and I can see it. And I know if I happen to, kind of lose my balance for a moment. And sometimes it's like this, like I step in an eddy that's very swirly of not fifth dimensional and higher energy frequencies. Mm-hmm. And because that other one rides right there, because they all come from me, right? And I was engrossed in the linear. Okay, I'm trying to talk and you're singing this kind of loud. but I know it's how we roll over here. 5D.
I'm having so fun.
So that's what I'm trying to say. They're that tangible. They're that close to each other that you can literally be playing and fully immersed in 5D. You can hear it, see it, feel it, experience it. It comes out loud. You can touch it, all that kind of stuff. And then you can make a step that maybe there's residual energy in the actual physical place that was more on the a linear thing, or someone else may come by that they carry a lot of heavy energy because they're wrestling a lot with a lot of stuff. They're not certain what's happening to them, because they don't know, but there's wrestling, and so it's almost like a dip in the, like, if you're walking on a field and then there's like a little dip and you kind of step funny. So, but the reason I point that out is because they're right here simultaneously, available to everybody. The 5D is here right now. You don't wait for it. You don't need to. It's here right now.
I want to share something weird that just happened to me.
Uh-huh.
When you were talking about walking in the field and how you step in a dip that you weren't sure, didn't know what's there, when you said that, I felt it in my body. I have done that. Be walking along and I felt that in my body when you said that.
Mm-hmm.
That was wow. That's not happened to me like that. I've had that happen when I'm watching something on the computer or on a screen somewhere and somebody gets hurt or something, I can feel it in my body, but not from just an explanation of something. So that was interesting. I was just noticing I wanted to share.
Well, I think that's really cool. And it's also because I have a sense that you're remembering not that long ago where you actually experienced that. You know what I'm saying?
The actual that and not the metaphor of that.
Yes.
I got. Oh, you mean like just a few minutes ago in the other video?
So, well, I'd love for both of you to share what is maybe just the first perspective and sense that comes to you when you either think of the fact that they're both right here, or that you've got to consciously choose, or so we can play with a little bit of that, because I think there's a lot of things that the image that just came to mind is that akin to the shielding we've talked about on the programming. I just saw this monorail that's kind of skirting the energetic fence line between the old that's crumbling and the new, of kind of like a perimeter fence that they've got out there. It's almost like it's, da 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 da. So you look back over there, or maybe that's part of, kind of ties in the analogy of the dipping in the little divot in the fence.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my sense is, as you guys we're all playing with, and you kind of describe what comes to mind, or what you feel comes to heart through there, we may catch one of those cars on the monorail that's skirting the lawn, the energetic fence line, and so that we can show it. If we can show it, then we can recognize that it's there, and we can actually dematerialize whole sections, because it's not just for us, it's something that flows through all of the collective. We can dematerialize, this is interesting that's coming in, we can dematerialize the actual infrastructure, it's all energetic, but the infrastructure of that perimeter fence.
What?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're asking us to share there. I mean, I followed what you said.
Go right in, jump, do it. You got it.
Well,
No,
Yeah.
who's jumping?
you.
Well, I wanted to say this, that I've been playing with that concept myself.
Cool.
If it's here now, then why am I not experiencing it? And what I've realized is we're going to go back to my muscles again. It's me resisting it because it's here. I know that. I feel that. I feel it stronger every day. And what I'm feeling, I guess, is what is. I'm just feeling a natural, organic. Okay, so I'm gonna be real specific here. There are certain things that I personally am wrestling with. So I'll just go ahead and we'll knock those boxes off if you don't mind. Please. So there are concepts that we need certain things in order to, survive, or perhaps organize ourselves, or for whatever reason we need them. And the truth is we don't need them. And I had this knowing that I don't need them, right? And yet and still my reality would say otherwise, like I need to do certain things in order to survive here. And so I've been asking myself that, what if I know that that's not true, but what is keeping me from the experience of the 5D reality? And the answer that my heart gave me was, of course, me. Which was not the answer I was hoping for. As I'm having difficulty releasing these concepts in my own self. And so I've decided that the most important thing for me to focus on in that case is dropping the need for these systems within me. And then, well, once I do that, it's immaterial, really, whether the systems change or not. So that's what I've been focusing on, dropping the need within me. Okay, so, and I'm just going to throw money out there because that seems to be the big one that wants to just beat me up on the daily. And not really on the daily, because I can go for really long periods of time knowing that I don't need money. Money has no power over me. I am the value. I know all of these things. Until the gas tank's empty, and so is the wallet. And then suddenly, I need money. So what I'm really realizing is when I'm in the right frame of mind, meaning just solidly in my center and knowing who I am, I will manifest things with ease, and sort of, it could be a comical story or a moving story, or something happens that I didn't need a job and need it, and need something that I don't have. It just magically appears. So I think that the most important thing for me is to remember that it is here now, and that I am the one locking in place any limits that I'm holding, and really sitting with whatever limit appears, because they're starting to appear fast and furious, and centering in that I am creating my reality, so I'm going to go ahead and create it without need. So
Cool.
that's what I've been going with.
And the needs will show up big time
Yes.
to be right here in your face, pizza stuck to your eye, so that you can integrate it, express it, expel it, and let it go. So it's actually, although it may not seem like it at all, but it's a great gift that you're giving to you, because you say, great, cool, all right, fabulous. Lisa, man, we've done this. We've got it. We recognize this thing. We put it right here. Now walk through it. Walk through it. The bridge is right there. You can do it. I don't see any bridge. I need, what are you great? We can do this. That's because that's what's happening. That's why it shows up.
And it doesn't matter how much I know it up here, and I know it here. I have to choose it every moment of now.
Yes.
And that's and it's, to me, also about allowing what I know to lead this program.
And trust.
Yeah, and that's a big one. That's a really, really big one, especially when you're feeling, and Sheila, I feel the same way that you do, more often than they care to admit, that I'm being left behind, that everybody else has got it except me, and all of that is lack of trust.
Yep.
Trust that my greater being's giving me what I need, and that I am no less than anyone else I love and adore. And that is all trust.
Well, let me stop there for a minute, because I've got a very poignant, I know, programming note here.
Yes.
So we started this about that perimeter fence and that monorail.
Yes.
So, okay, play with me for a moment here. We're setting up a system. We know we've been in control. We've got this great gig. They've been snoring to beat the band. Nobody's noticing. We got entire sheep of wool pulled over everybody's eyes, and they're streaming right along, giving us everything we need, and we're fat cats. We are just sitting cool and pretty and okay. And wait a minute. There's a bunch of those damn starseeds that are waking up, and they're mucking everything up. And now these other people are paying attention, and they're putting the dots together, and this is connecting, and they're doing the things. And even though we took everything away from them, even though we took, some of them, they're home, they've been homeless, they've been divorced, child's been taken away, all this kind of stuff, they still haven't given up. And now, kind of it's spreading. So what would be a really cool perimeter fence thing that we could program, that we could put on?
Okay.
To kind of hold them before they go in that field over there. Because once they step their toe in that field a couple enough times, boy, we've lost them. And not only have we lost them, but magically it's like, that dumb commercial we made where they're pulling the farm boy out of the farm field of the ginger ale field. I don't know why ginger is growing with corn, but okay, that's a whole other thing. The blonde's pulling him out of the thing, and he's now at the cookout. Well, that's what's happening, because the ones who are awake over here in New Earth are pulling the other ones who have enough doubt and trust issues over to their side of the field. So what that is that we need is it's this monorail that it's like emitting these frequencies of don't trust.
Yes.
And don't have enough of it. And I can't see it. So I'm not even going to test it, because I know what's over here. I hate it. I don't like it. It's confining. It doesn't work. I know it's baloney and bullshit and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I know it. And I trust this. I trust how bad it is. Because, God, I've, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever it is, I've been doing it.
Right.
So if you think of it that way, it's like a perimeter fence fail-safe.
Sure.
Are you familiar at all with electric fencing for, horses and stuff like that? And it's not a solid thing. It's kind of like a blip and a blip and a blip. And so if you can go in between the blips, depending on what, whether it's cattle fence or horse fence or whatever, you can do it. And as long as you don't shock yourself on your head, because that really hurts, you can actually do it. But if you have a picture, that's why painting, playing with it, it takes a lot of the drama and trauma and painfulness, but I need, that groove, which is just like this deep hold away from it. And you see it for what it is, that, well, I'm just going to dance, I'm going to get zinged a little here and there, but I'm going to dance between the fence wire here and the flip of that fail-safe current that's there. And even if I know that for a moment I may not be able to stay because I got to, get back before the current comes again, but I can feel the grass over there in the new earth. I can feel, so again, you use these all metaphors, but
yes.
When you realize that it's, because then it's not putting something out there, but it's realizing how you have the small part of you, the lower ego mind has bought into that.
Yes.
Then it changes it. Then it realizes that it takes at least a little bit and softens the need kind of trauma, fear, bully thing away, and realizes that, oh, I see, this is it's just a perimeter fence and it's easy enough to navigate, but I've got to just realize it for what it is.
Yes.
Instead of that there's something wrong with me.
Right.
It's just a choosing. It's just a navigation point.
An interesting thing, because I and that trusting thing is the not trusting thing is a groove too.
Yes.
Because I have glimpses of not just glimpses, but moments and sometimes whole stretches where I'm very trusting of myself and the fact that I am magic. I don't have to know magic. I am magic.
Right.
And there are moments when I can firmly sit in that seat, that center of knowing that I am magic and that it is what I decide it is at any given moment.
Mm-hmm.
All of this.
Yes.
Everything I see is what I decide it is. And so I can sit within that for certain stretches. I really am not clear. I mean, I think I'm there more often than not, but sometimes there's that, that, I don't know, sometimes I don't even know how to say what pulls me out of it, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't noticed yet if there's something consistent that does that.
Well, that's where, from one perspective, it would be valid that it's an external force to you on that pulse going on the perimeter fence to keep the programming in place. So it's actually an electromagnetic thing in the energy frequencies, a current that's going through to that. So on the one hand, you might look at the pulse to keep you there. It's also a pulse to interrupt. Just for a moment, it jams your knowing. It jams because you haven't fully locked it in. Yeah. So it jams the knowing. Another way to describe it too, as you expand more and everybody does it differently, you start to notice those pulses. You'll feel the zing of the pulse. You might even hear an echo of the conversation that the pulse generates of the doubt or the need or the this or that or the other thing. And you go, yeah, yep, got it, yep, and you keep right on doing what you're doing. So it's there. It feels like it's a little drag on your shirt or a little bit of a lostness, mixed in, or a little bit of whatever, or a nanosecond of, oh yeah, and then you go, no, yeah, and you keep going. And that takes, commitment. That takes work. That takes the choosing. And then it gets better. But what I'm saying is that there really is valid, because it's all, again, when you come way back out here, it's a different thing, but it is valid, and I think helpful too to realize that part of that is an external energy frequency, although we're creating it all because it's part of our trajectory out, to help us see
Yes.
that you could lay another way from a more expanded would be a test. Are you proving to yourself? So make it simple for right now for people to understand this. There's a perimeter fence that the Illuminati and the wizards of the dark sort that have set this up as we come, because they're losing everything. And it's all coming down. And it's all going to hell in a handbasket. And they're desperate and they're on the ropes and yada, yada, yada. Okay, all those euphemisms, right? And so this perimeter fence, this pulse, you could look at it as you get zapped to stay on the linear side of the fence, or if you're more often, as Sheila was saying, spending strings of moments over in the new earth, the pulse is an interrupter pulse of that knowing. It's an interrupter of the solid locking in of that.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of holding that visual, that metaphor, helps a lot, because oftentimes, again, going back to the training and the programming and the the internal programs that we all built in the ego mind and lower mind of that is, well, why can't I get it right? I was just in the bloody field over there and I was enjoying it, and what have I done wrong? Or I'm not good enough, or I don't have this, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So in that,
I was doing some of that, as we all know.
Yeah.
But I've also stopped beating the crap out of myself for that.
Right.
For not staying in the field or keeping the trust in, because that's beating myself up is not at all helpful. And for me personally, that was another groove.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If you give yourself another metaphor, another visual, another actually real perspective, that on purpose, this pulse is being sent out to interrupt your moments to get you back over in the linear falling down construct, in hopes that they can get a little bit more juice out of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually very freeing in a sense.
Yes,
it's not taking away, but it's you're able to see more of the picture.
Well, no, that was a very helpful
Yes.
metaphor and visual.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see evidence when you watch from an observer perspective, someone else's movie, and so you can then see it easier. When you see it's really an automaton of just the reactions to things, and completely unconscious to what is that's coming out in that reaction. Right. No basis in even in the false construct reality. It's not even in that reality kind of thing.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
So that can really, then you go, oh, okay. And that's the same thing. They don't have the pulse because they're not in the perimeter fence. They're more in the middle of the corral. And so it's this steady, low hum. Have you ever noticed when the power goes out and you go, so quiet.
It's so quiet.
Right. And it's not only the ears that are picking up so quiet, it's your energy field. It's all that's picking up. So that's what I'm saying. So when they're in the middle of the corral, that constant, there is no perimeter fence with just a blip that's, a signal that's going to ping Sheila for a moment to interrupt that trust, interrupt that knowing, right? They're just in the constant low, not really audible until it disappears, programming hum.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the din of all of that is. Yep.
Now, here's a really cool thing and another way to hold it. So twofold. When you play with that, and you can use my metaphor of the perimeter fence or however you want to do it, but when you play with that, then there's more noticing comes in. There's actually more lightness. There's more freedom, more freeing comes into that. And in each moment that you, in the experiencing right now, coming to contact, because it's actually settling in parts of your body. It's actually going in. It's almost like a light love program that's now infiltrating all of your cells and rooting out the bits of, we'll say, receptors that might be picking up the pulse interrupt signal, right?
Okay.
So that's happening within you, and you can feel it spreading, right? It's going in your field.
Well, yeah. Well, it's very interesting you say that. I had a pinch. I'm actually having a pain right this minute.
Right.
Where some energy is kind of stuck. So
right.
That's interesting.
Right. So that's happening through you in your whole system, but you're transmitters, right? Yeah. So if you've shifted, right, and rubbed off have you ever had batteries, and the batteries, brand new batteries, why isn't it working? Well, sometimes there's like a coating that the factory puts on it. And if you just rub the battery a little, it knocks a little bit of the coating off, and then the thing's connected. Oh, look at that, the flashlight works or whatever. So the same kind of way as that new perception, new perspective is giving it, and it's going through and it's rooting out the love and the expansion and light fields are going through all the molecules in your body, right? All the cells in your body. And Sheila gave an example of that. But you're transmitters. So now you're actually, rubbing a little bit off so that the one part that may have been a reciprocal or mirroring, I'm not sure the right electrical knowledge from linear thing, but you've brushed off that, so now that transmitter no longer holds the shield or the blindfold or the, like the rubber coating on it, that is a match to the interrupters. So that means that you actually now have this newfangled transmitter laser on you that can penetrate into those who are in the middle of the corral, and they can see the beacon. So now they know which way to go energetically, to get to the edge of the corral, to get to the edge of the perimeter fence, so they can stick their toe over there and play in that. Okay, so that was a lot of metaphors, but you get the
I love it.
picture of what I'm talking. And one of the biggest ways to boost that is compassion. Compassion is a signal booster, a transmission signal booster.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you see how that works?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be selling anything. You don't have to be, you got to watch Q, you got to do this, you got to, open your heart. You just because you're transmitting it. And so now that little beacon that's light, and they catch a spark for a minute, and is that a flashlight? What is that? It's pulsing through because it's in between the steady hum that they've got going. And so it's funny, this is coming in and I don't know, but the rods and cones in your eyes, so on the physical level, and the energetics of the new sight that's coming in, it's all because we're flooded in this, is all coming in. So those in the corral will hear that steady hum. Because you and all the other yous are in their own different ways, interrupting, have block that interrupter pulse, or are blocking, or trying it on, or, I mean, this is just in playing with it, it spreads it more out there.
Sure.
So the rods and the cones, the actual linear physical rods and cones in the eyes of those in the corral, and the energetic receptors behind it, you have helped them make that jump to reconfigure those rods and cones and their eyesight to then see your transmission, your beacon. They have to do the work. They've got to, they have to, when they see that little, they have to look. Is that something? And if they go, no, program, or hit the button, I'm going over here. That's a choice.
Making the template available, so to speak.
Yes.
The template is available.
Yes.
But each individual has to do their inner work.
Right. And notice it. I mean, even it's as simple as just to notice it, catch your eye, or but it's,
well, that's kind of part of the inner work too, though. That noticing part.
It is, yeah. It's a big part.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Just writing stuff off to, that's, that's part of that programming that's still, there. So yeah, even just the noticing is I consider it anyway, part of the inner work.
Absolutely. Well, simply noticing is one of the best tools in the toolbox. Yeah. But it's really cool to think that we each do that. I mean, so if someone is saying, well, it's hard and, I don't know how to do this or whatever, but the payoffs are all, to use that, to go with the hard metaphor, right? And I don't know how to do this. And then, kind of like, oh, can I do this sort of thing? The payoffs are so rich and so amazing beyond what we always thought was a shiny thing over here. These are so much shinier and more cool and more fun and more toysness or whatever we thought we wanted, in the rich category, and they're all over the place, and they're coming faster and faster and faster. And one of those things is just by going on our own path, we actually are illuminating the path for all those who are in the corral. And the dust is thick in that corral now. And there's cattle prods and pokers and ground zappers and all that kind of stuff. And so if we can amplify what we're already doing because we've chosen to do it, just on what we've chosen to do, and we self-amplify the beacons back, well, that's pretty cool. It's not like we're going to say, okay, well, we're slogging through this, and I got to get through the perimeter fence, and now I got to climb the hill where I'm going to, because just in choosing, in opening our hearts, in going in that river of love and navigating all that, choosing that, whether it's, leaps at a time, tiny little, okay, I've got it, whatever it is that you're doing, each stride, each leap, each, barely a crawl, whatever it is amplified, magnified, and juiced up for everyone else.
I mean, I know lots of beings in that corral, and it's all just a choosing. And I don't even, I get it. I as I said, I know beings in that corral, and I know the inner work that, or at least a part of it, that is required. And it's not easy. I know that from my own self. But you're right, the rewards far outweigh that pain. But the problem is, and this is where, and I say it as a problem, maybe I shouldn't say it as a problem, but there's been so much programming and conditioning to avoid pain at all costs.
Yeah.
Avoid the pain. You got a pain, take an ibuprofen or a acetaminophen, or, don't walk around in pain. Do something about it. But all the doing that we've been programmed and conditioned into doing amounts to sweeping it under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And all that does is make a huge mound under the rug. and it doesn't help anything. Least of all, the being who's doing the sweeping under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a choice.
It is a choice. It is a choice.
Because it's not like it's, the energies 20 years ago or 10 years ago. And stuff. I mean, they're working really, 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 really hard in excruciating difficulty to make the choice to be the hump under the rug. It's hard work. It's expending an awful lot of energy, and they're not missing anything.
No, I realize that. That's the, now I do. I didn't for a long time, but I get that now, and it is a choosing. And
it's not like you read the right book, or you went to the right movie, or you stood facing northwest by, X number of degrees, and went like
you're
this
right.
for 20 hours, and then like that for 15 hours. You're not missing.
Now, but I have also heard the excuses. Well, not everybody has the time to do what you've done, and I'm not. I can't buy that. I'm not going to buy that, because everybody has the exact same amount of time in the day that I have. It's how we choose to spend that time, and so,
Mm-hmm.
I am aware that the more I trust myself, and because we are we are part of the all, of course, that, that just creates it as being there for everyone. I'm not, I'm going to make a note here, because I would like to have a separate conversation in regards to compassion, because compassion for me is another one of those words that I don't quite grok all the way. I'm sure I must have it.
Well, it's very similar, and it is a whole big conversation on its own, and then some. But I think it'd be helpful to say just a smidge this moment is that it's its own energy frequency, and it's very different. We have on this planet as human beings, being the false construct, just as we have with love, a very...
I wrote it down just like that, because that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I'll use a very linear term. It's bastardized. It's just,
okay, see, that's why I...
not pulling any punches. It's, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. And, sometimes when we talk about that, I do feel a little lost in that too. I mean, I'm just being truthful, because
it is confusing.
Yeah, one person's compassion is another person's, I don't know, something else, So
yeah. That's a really big lake, galaxy, planet, field, whatever. So we'll play with that. But
yeah, I made a note. But that was that because that was brought up in our conversation,
yeah.
And I remember sitting here going, okay, well, yeah. So thanks. I just wanted to make sure I I put that out there. So anybody that's watching this, just look out.
It's coming.
It's coming.
We're precogging the videos.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So, well, I like the idea now of I like the metaphor that you gave of the pulse, and that already
was really helpful.
Yeah, that already feels very good.
And in this conversation too, the choosing, we've just barely scratched the surface. We've mostly only focused on that they're both right here, and some of the pitfalls, with the perimeter fence. But there's a, and so maybe we can play with it more another time. But there's this, it's amazing in the choosing. It's wondrous. And you can actually dance back and forth on the quote unquote, different sides of the fence, because you have missions and forays in there, but you hold it in a different way. And you do it intentionally and consciously, yet in reality, most of you is all over in the New Earth. But you have to go in for, it's almost, the beacon missions, so you're resupplying the transmission lines in back into the old.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to let this one settle for a bit, especially when you play with the perimeter fence.
Yes.
And the pulsing, will help clear a lot of stuff out.
Right. Well, I'd like to encourage comments and questions on this one. Well, I always like to encourage comments and questions, for every video if you feel so led, but in particular this one, because there was a lot of to do made about the event and pulling New Earth in and that sort of thing, and it's been swirling within myself and us and others for a while now that, well, it comes from within us, and that's where it's going to come from first. And I think there are a lot of folks out there who do feel very much like I have felt, that sometimes I'm there and sometimes I'm not. And, well, I'm not going to get upset about it for myself that I'm not always over there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of gave up that whole, beating up on myself for not getting things, right away. But yeah, let's hear from you guys out there that are, listening to this after this and participating in these conversations, and what are you finding? And did you find this metaphor and this whole entire conversation helpful? And what is there anything that you do, the way that you practice staying over there? Share it. That'd be wonderful. I'd love to hear about that. And so,
because all that is part of each individual's, going for longer moments, because it's what it does is it starts a dialogue within themselves.
Yes.
And
one of the things
manifest, you give voice to it, so you make it manifest out there, and it locks those in.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed about our conversations, but really anything that I've ever read, listened to, paid attention to, watched, or whatever, in regards to my own personal expansion, I don't follow anyone. I don't have a guru. I really don't meditate. I personally don't have any practices that I do on a daily, or maybe I'd be better at some of this if I did. But what I'm seeing here is that sharing our experiences, something that you say or share may trigger something for me.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Lisa says has triggered things for me. They're not. It's not like I'm taking up what Lisa's doing or anything like that. But just I don't know, there's some reason I felt it was important to say this. Because we are all one, we do wander around triggering each other in certain ways for remembering things, for these codes and things that we share with each other, and that's part of it, I think.
Well, yeah, it's a way to step up and stand all in. It's a way to people say, well, I want to know what my mission is. I want to be helpful. Well, okay, this is part of it. It's a lot of what this does is it's part of the proofing from your soul with you. Has nothing to do with any of us right here on this video. It's soul within you. It's that conversation. It's that proofing. Are you willing to have the heart stay open? Are you willing to not go unconscious again? Are you willing to not keep holding the banner, I'm small, I'm small, I'm small, I'm small, so somehow I have to hide or this, that, the other thing, or what I'm relevant, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. This is what this is. I mean, we're at the moment now, there's no more hiding anymore. Because if you're trying to hide and you got a bushel of it, I'm telling you, there's going to be one big ass boulder that nobody else is doing it to you, that you send over to knock that bushel basket off. And it's a lot easier to go, oh, okay, I'll take it off. And, and make the effort instead of having the boulder come knock it off. Ask me how I know.
Yeah, I've seen lots of stories just recently where, that folks are kind of, not, I'm speaking of, the newly awakened and starting on this path, so to speak, are seeing some of, oh crap, that's what that was about, kind of thing, an accident here or a marriage gone there or whatever, these things. And that there's still a lot of folks out there going, oh, they did that to me. And, instead of seeing that it was, themselves in whatever fashion. So,
yeah, that's how we started this conversation.
Yep. So there will be all the usual stuff in all the usual places. And I thank you, ladies. This was another good one. Well, we always have good ones.
I know. My favorite thing.
So until next time.
Bye-bye.